teams that lose in round 1 will have a chance to claim one of the last 2 spots in the playoffs if they can survive from this round. Once the Swiss stage ends, the 4 teams with 2 booyahs advance to the playoffs, which follow a single elimination format with best-of-3 series matches. The tournament concludes with a best-of-5 series at the grand final to determine the champion.
Mi personaje favorito es Naruto porque creo que la historia que tiene es muy motivadora. Mi mapa favorito en Free Fire es Bermuda porque es el primer mapa que salió en todo el juego y me gusta mucho. Yo creo que el oponente más complicado para nosotros es Evos porque vienen de salir campeones mundiales y la confianza de ellos yo creo que debe estar muy alta.
Los oponentes más complicados para nosotros son Team Falcons, ya que tienen muy buenos jugadores en su equipo. A los, ya que en los entrenamientos los vimos muy bien. Uriram, por favor, nosotros no estamos asustados ni un poco. ¿Ustedes no tienen miedo? De Cruz, ya que en la EWC no participó en ninguna partida y creo que ya es historia. Sí, me siento muy confiado de poder barrerlo nuevamente. Podemos salir campeones.
Mungkin player yang kurang bagus di turnamen ini Wasana sih, karena di turnamen terakhir juga dia main jelek aja. Favorit karakter Naruto di Free Fire mungkin lebih ke Sasuke sih, karena keren gitu.
Favorit gue di karakter Naruto mungkin Naruto sih, soalnya dia dari ceritanya pun sedih dan bisa jadi yang terkuat.
Ya semua tim lah, karena ya apa ya, ya bisa jadi kan semua tim ketemu semua, jadi kita pengen coba ketemu semua tim sih.
Lawan terberat mungkin Falcon ya, soalnya kemarin tuh dia waktu di Vietnam habis juara dan ya di pikiran gue dia lawan yang terberat.
Ya mungkin Buriram lah, karena apa ya, ya kita pede aja sih lawan mereka. Ya kita nggak punya kelebihan, nggak punya kekuatan, tapi kita percaya pasti kita bisa menang.
Favorit gue di map kelas squad Bermuda karena lebih hafal aja kompon-komponnya dan kayaknya lebih gampang sih.
นารูโตะครับเพราะว่าผมอยากแยกร่างได้เหมือนนารูโตะมีนาโตะแล้วกันครับตัวละครคาแรคเตอร์ดูฟูเท่ดีครับฟินิเชอร์ภายในเกมก็ไม่ได้แนวเซโรโลแล้วนะครับก็ไม่ได้โหดขนาดนั้นครับฟอลคอนเคโรโลแล้วนะครับระเบิดตาดีครับแต่ว่าติดเลยครับอ้อมไปตายครับไม่ก็อ้อมไปแล้วก็เพื่อนตายหมดแล้วก็ไม่ได้ทำอะไรครับเซเว่นครับเพราะว่าดูจากการซ้อมแล้วก็ไม่เท่าไหร่ครับคิดว่าไม่มีนะครับชนะสบายๆเพราะว่ามันระดับเวอร์ครับถ้าได้แชมป์ก็อยากได้แชมป์ให้มันสมศักดิ์ศรีครับก็ทีมมาคิวครับเพราะว่าเป็นคู่แข่งกันมานานครับก็อยากเจอมันน่าจะเป็นรัตยาจากอีโวดีวายครับเพราะว่าสไตล์การเล่นโหดครับเล่นตำแหน่งเดียวกับผมด้วยก็อยากเจอในแคสฟอร์ครับก็อาจจะไม่ง่ายเหมือนที่ผ่านมาเพราะว่ามีทีมจากบราซิลมาด้วยคิดว่าไม่น่าง่ายครับเพราะว่าทีมเป็นทีมระดับสูงทุกทีมครับน่าจะยากอยู่แต่ก็จะพยายามให้ดีที่สุดครับ
Dạ, nhân vật yêu thích nhất của em là Naruto, bởi vì nhân vật chính.
Nhân vật trong bộ truyện Naruto mà em yêu thích nhất là Itachi vì nó cool ngầu và khá là mạnh ở trong phim.
Dạ là Falcon, tại vì tụi em đã thất bại với họ trước 2 lần.
Đội tuyển mà em đánh bại nhất là esports bởi vì em đã thua họ ở mùa giải trước.
Dạ em nghĩ là Fluso, bởi vì bên Brazil họ không mạnh về mặt tử chiến.
Em nghĩ đội dễ đánh bại nhất là RQ bởi vì em không đánh giá cao tay tỉa của team RQ. Map yêu thích nhất của em là map quân sự bởi vì em luyện tập cái map đấy trong buổi stream và bắn răng rất nhiều.
กลับมาแล้วค่ะทุกคนค่ะโอ้โหเปิดมาคู่แรกก็มันขนาดนี้เกือบเต็มกราฟต้องมาลุ้นต่อไปค่ะว่าคู่ต่อไปนี้จะเต็มกราฟกันขนาดไหนนะคะและนี่คือการแข่งขัน CS Elite ค่ะ ซึ่งคู่ต่อไปค่ะจะเป็นการแข่งขันระหว่างทีมเวียดนามเจอกับอินโดนีเซีย
Welcome back to the Clash Squad Elite Tournament, and our next match will feature the KOLs come from Vietnam clashing against with KOLs from Indonesia. So I think it's time to welcome them to the stage right now.
และตอนนี้ค่ะได้เวลาต้อนรับพวกเขากันแล้วเพราะฉะนั้นขออนุญาตขอเสียงต้อนรับทีมจากอินโดนีเซีย
First of all, let's welcome our Indonesian team to the stage.
และนี่คือทีมเวียดนาม Let's welcome Vietnam team และต่อไปนี้ค่ะคือคู่แข่งของทีมเวียดนาม จะเป็นใครไปไม่ได้นอกจากทีมจากประเทศอินโดนีเซีย
And that is the Vietnam team on the stage, and now it's officially the Indonesian teams on the stage.
และแน่นอนค่ะว่าก็เป็นตามธรรมเนียมนะคะของ Free Fire เราค่ะ เมื่อนักกีฬาทั้งสองทีมอยู่บนเวทีแห่งนี้แล้ว ก็ให้เขาจับมือทำความรู้จักกันหน่อยก่อนที่จะไปแข่งขันกันในเกม และประจำโพสิชันค่ะ
So Vietnam versus Indonesia, they've always been clashing together against in the Clash Squad mode, and now finally having a chance to meet again in the World Tournament like this. So it's your time to shake your opponent's hand and get prepared for your first match.
ได้เวลาของการแข่งขันสุดเดือดกันอีกแล้ว ทุกๆคนคะที่กำลังรับชมอยู่ตอนนี้คิดว่ายังไงกันบ้างคะสำหรับศึกในครั้งนี้ระหว่างทีมนะคะอินโดนีเซียและทีมเวียดนาม ใครจะเป็นฝ่ายชนะ ขึ้นอยู่กับคุณแล้วค่ะสามารถส่งเสียงเชียร์กันได้นะคะแล้วก็คอมเมนต์กันได้เลยค่ะแต่ว่าตอนนี้ค่ะได้เวลาไปรับชมการแข่งขันกันแล้วถ้าพร้อมกันแล้วเราจะขออนุญาตส่งเวทีนี้ต่อให้กับชาวแคสเตอร์
The competitive scene right here is really intense since this is the second couple that we are right now. Yeah, so I can totally feel the heat. So, Shoutcaster, it's your time now.
Welcome back, survivors, to the hidden mic village. As you guys witnessed at the Valley of the End, a showdown between two big regions, Indonesia and Vietnam, in this Free Fire All-Star Ninja Clash Squad tournament. It's me, Husky, alongside gentleman Neptune Garcia. We are getting ready to head into this best of 3, and I think the atmosphere is already getting pretty tense. You know, you can feel the rivalry between the two teams, even though this is just their KOLs.
Yeah, it's just the KOLs, but the region has brought in a lot of rivalry overall from the past. And this is where we want to see more of an even matchup. We were expecting that in a previous one, but we know how Thailand is in terms of playing Free Fire. So let's see if these two teams, though they are influencers, but they also have teams. So from Vietnam, that's Team Aimfob, if I got that correct. And we have Dominator Esports from Indonesia. So one has won a battle or went into Battle of Stars Season 3. The other one is also part of the 33rd SEA Games Vietnam qualifiers. So let's see if this is the spicier KOL matchup that we're going to watch up. You did mention that they can bring it all through the end of a best of 3 as well as of those 11 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, we call them, we say that these are just, key opinion leaders, big influencers, content creators, but they do have their accolades, right? Again, to be in, for example, the 33rd SEA Game Vietnam qualifier, that is not an easy feat, especially when we look at these tournaments that, that's, for example, SEA Games or ASEAN Games, you would think that they would take the best of the best from the pro teams, but sometimes you have hidden gems like this. And this is the chance for them to prove that maybe, for a region like Vietnam, who had a very interesting, journey, not being on the radar, then coming onto the radar, being in the spotlight, and then fading out in the past, 6 to 9 months, now having a second chance again on the main stage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is, a story that we don't want to see, but you know how it is. Some teams can really pop off and just overshadow entire region or entire, some teams from that region. So this is where they are bound to make a comeback if they can bring it on. Again, the same rules applies. It's M1887, a level 4 on the helmet as well as armor, and unlimited glue walls. And we just saw how chaotic that can be in a match. It's so tough to really play it out, especially if, like, for instance, a player like me, I want to go in a long range, but I couldn't. I don't have that much accuracy compared to what we've seen that these players has, but this is something that they have to deal with. And we are seeing Naruto and Sakura as well in the crowd.
That we have some cosplayers in the house, and this is one of those few, canon events that I think a lot of people wish would have happened in the actual anime when Naruto and Sakura got together. Last that didn't happen. Do you know that the voice actor, an actress for Naruto, is actually a lady? And I really enjoy her voice acting. Right? I think a lot of people didn't know that. I certainly didn't know that when I was a kid. I thought it's, some young voice actor with a raspy voice, but no, actually, it is a very experienced voice actress.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing though. What I love about anime is the opportunity as well to be in a different role, a different persona overall. And that's not the first. Like, even in other animes, even other characters in Naruto, there's a few that would surprise you once you find out who they are voicing out with. But this is something else that the collaboration is showing us. Not only the collaboration, but also the theme on the stage right now. This is Chapter 2 of the Ninja Wars, and this is the protagonist, or antagonist rather, antagonist Rain. At this point, Akatsuki clan is now showing up not only in a game but also on the stage.
And plenty of things to kind of go around, right? Like, if this is, I think this is one of the biggest collaboration Free Fire has had in quite a while, of this scale at least, right? Like the depth of content that we have, then the amount of attention to detail, the willingness to explore and incorporate the elements of the collaborations in the subjects Naruto into the game itself. I don't think I've seen it anywhere else, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, most of it is just character skins. Like, it's more of character skills, or if the character, and because of the number of active skill and active and passive skill that we have in Free Fire, there's a lot of potential. To be honest, every time I see some of the skills, it reminds me of some of the talents as well. It reminds me of some of the talents as well. And this is, I thought about this when I look at Paloma. It reminds me of Carol Bombshell. and that's one thing. I mean, it can be someone who's already in Free Fire or someone who can be in Free Fire.
Yeah, we started off with one of the biggest ones. We have DJ Alok. That was literally one of the OG highlight collaborations, right? A literal, mega star from the Brazil. And I remember on that big stage, that's where Corinthians lifted the trophy. And then we had J Beeps. And then we have C Ronaldo. I don't think I've seen any other titles out there or anything that I've worked on that has something of this skill, and I think that's still relevant until today. Every now and then, JB was back in the meta. C Ronaldo is now back with the time turner on that chrono. I think DJ Arlock is probably the one that still kind of needs a bit of number tweakings, but when he was relevant, he was a menace.
It does work. It does work in, I would say, in Clash Squad, and that is one feature, one mode in the game that really features a lot of those active and passive skills. So I guess there's still Alok is still in the mix, and I'm not talking about the music mix. But anyways, we are prepping up right now for the second series of our KOL Clash Squad Elite battle, and this is a Free Fire and Naruto Shippuden collaboration, the Ninja Wars Chapter 2. Everyone's excited right now to be part of this event, not only for those on the venue but also in the chat. So really appreciate those who are hanging back with us whilst we are waiting for the match to begin.
Yeah, and especially those that have stuck with Free Fire since the beginning. I know, especially those from the regions that are waiting for the circuit to be launched or reactivated. The Bangladeshis, for example, those from Sri Lanka, Nepal, Pakistan. They've been with us for a long time, and with the recent emergence and recent attendance of Red Hawks at DWC, at least we are seeing the region slowly get revived. I've been getting some texts. I know some people ask me when is our region going to be brought up. I have no idea, but I would say at least that is an eventuality. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
We just have to be patient and wait for it. We had Sri Lanka in FF. Is it called FFWS or FFMC? I don't remember. MCPS, yes. MCPS, 2022, I believe. Like for one season, we have like Revenant Esports from India playing, and that was quite an experience.
Definitely. I mean, once like India is back on its feet in Free Fire, there's really a huge chance that things will be popping off. Again, I did mention about FFMIC, so it's a continuation of the India Cup that is currently happening, and I really love to see how that's going on. Who would be the champions in there? There's a lot of things that is happening at a global scale in terms of Free Fire. So as Husky did mention, if you're in a country, in a region that hasn't experienced or in a while hasn't experienced a tournament just yet, it might not happen this year. It might be for next year, but don't take our word for it. There's a lot that is happening, and how it is popping off right now. This is just the beginning. 2025 is just the beginning of that global movement, of that global Free Fire revolution.
We're gonna put the whole globe under the infinite Tsukuyomi if we can, to make sure that this is our time to see good energy in the mall, And another thing is, like, we look at the schedule, we know that this is gonna be a long and eventful day for sure. We haven't even gotten into the main course, right? This is just the appetizer. We haven't even seen the pro teams on the stage duking it out, and who knows how long those games are gonna get, how interesting those games are gonna get. And now my question is, we got a full house before the event even started. Are we gonna have that by the end of the day? Because I sure hope that the crowd does not leave until we turn off the lights at the mall.
I don't think so. I don't think they will be leaving, because there's a lot of things that is happening, and it's already heated in this KOLCS Elite Squad matchup, and it's getting even more hotter once we get in onto that final battle. We are going to start that round 1 of the Pro Teams Clash Squad battle, but before we go there, we're going to go for the start of the second series. It's Indonesia going against Vietnam. Who's going to win? We still have to find out, and let's go.
Right off the bat, see Indonesia very aggressive. The dual placements very far in front. Again, it's all about taking space as always. I mean, for the Vietnamese KOLs, Zeus will kind of take a back seat. An attempted wraparound from Flado. That one didn't barely push. He's going to go the other way around. The rest of the team is going to buy time for him, and this might work out if Gaiden stays alive, and that would be the case for now. They did box off the side of the map, and he's smell something in the air.
Oh, he smells something cooking right now, and let's see if he can throw those thunders in, lightnings in against Flado. But as you can see, one takedown already against Haaland, and the recovery as quickly as that. But no, there goes the shot. Team MT being dominated at this point. It's a 1-1 trade. Geisen has been picked up, but the potential of still turning things around is an possibility.
Very aggressive start. Haaland with another knock, this time to Camille. Fortunately, can't bring him back. Haaland with the confirmation. Indonesia down to just 2 DMT on the ropes right now. Both Flado and Geisen are able to stick together, thankfully. Flado rocking the Nintendo skin, cosmetic. Zeus trying to break through this labyrinth of the blue wall that everyone has somehow set out. A double arm from the corner. Zeus wins that out in a 2v1 and makes his way to safety. And just like that, AMF with round 1.
AMF Team AimFob round 1. It's only one casualty, Cena. He's not John Doe. He has been seen and he has been taken down. But let's see if Indonesia can turn things around. Again, Vietnam is showing up a little too passive and aggressive, especially in round number 1. But later on, once everything gets heated up, I'm expecting to see what we saw from Thailand earlier. Everyone will just be rushing it.
So Indonesia, DMT tried to rush it early on, but it didn't really work out the way that they wanted, right? This time they are taking a lot of precaution to check the flank. Flado probably heard all of that footsteps and Camille, he's going to be receiving flank. That's why he just straight up backing off. AMF though, not slowing down. Roxy ends up taking the punishment. They box in Haaland, Geisen with the knock. Vietnam getting ambushed from behind. They play ring around the rosy and they somehow ran into their own trap. Zeus with another knockdown and a confirmation, and he is the one that comes alive.
Yeah, let's see if Cena will be able to recover, but I don't think so. Emil's already guarding him, and the chase on to Flado. He will be flat, and he will be taken out. Only a few HP remaining, and they're still trying to recover. Still alive and clicking the Zeus right now. With B onto the other side as well with John Min. Flado will be down. It is a 1v2 situation as Zeus will try and will need to recover. Kamiel fires those shots, but doesn't make it. The glue wall saves Zeus at this point.
Maneuver his way out of that this time. Unsuccessful as DMT finds the quick equalizer in that round. Pretty messy. Contrary to the first series that we have, these two teams are the gladiatorial blood. They are out for action. They are full steam ahead. You know, the gate swing open. They just run at each other with no regards at all.
No regards to human HP. No regards to HP, I would say at this point. But again, you know, Vietnam is just rushing in, similar to what we've seen earlier, and DNT just staying in one place. But the glue wall did save them, and it's still the ring around the rose being done by Vietnam, and this is where they lost that game earlier. So let's see if Indonesia and Split will be able to barricade them in and probably take them down one at a time. But again, you did mention it is scrappy from the beginning up until this time. There's no slowing down, so I think it's a reverse of what we've seen earlier from the earlier KOL match.
Of course, we also have, I think, you know, for the Vietnam, AMF decides to take the perimeter of this building, get a couple of good checkpoints set up, good enough for a boost, but also prevents Indonesia from really doing damage to them. I think the X factor is where the circle is going to move after this.
Let's see though. I mean, the circle definitely changed the pace of the game, and that's what they're waiting for. The closure of this first phase would prompt everyone to get in position once that direction is shown on the minimap. So everyone is just showing some aggressive glue wall action. I would say aggressive glue wall action until that time comes. But Vietnam a little bit too far on the outside. Roxy is just waiting for their movement. Good thing they have a little bit of space work with, but they need to break through. Otherwise, they will be stuck, and Geisen would be the first target that they have.
Some contact made, Geisen and Zeus taking minor chip damages, but right off the bat, Flado getting knocked down by Cena as he comes out of nowhere, and you can't see him, unfortunately. KML getting knocked down too. Geisen finds a response onto Cena, but it's two members of Indonesia getting knocked down and wiped out right away. Vietnam paying two for the price of one. Geisen next on the chopping block. Zeus with the pumps in the chest, and Roxy now left all alone. It's Uriah that comes out on top. Vietnam AMF 2-1.
Zeus really bringing that on, and that's a good play definitely for him. He did manage to get 7 elimination already. Final 2 was from that play. The glue wall was just a millisecond delay, thus he managed to push it through and take down 1 players from DMT, and that gave Vietnam that advantage.
No slowing down, still running at each other, and seeing some interactions even, I think, on ground. Zeus pretty much locked in on his cam. Just ferociously communicating with the rest of his team. And Indonesia, sometimes they look over the eye of the stage to see how the opponents are reacting to the state of the game. But it's fair to say that they are willing to fight and draw to the death. Oh, that glue wire actually gets brought down. I thought that would be the contact between AMF and DMT, and indeed there is Cena again with the first blood.
Cena right now, but that's most of the time where he fails. But no, not this time around. Still managed to take down Raxi. And another one for Vietnam will be going down, though. Howland, the only one remaining at this point. No confirmation for those who've been knocked down. So a chance that they can still retain those weapons as well as armor they have earlier. But it's already 2-2, and I am loving the trade back in points right here. It might not be back and forth, but as long as they can fight back, as long as they can bring it on for each round, it would be a longer match and anyone can win.
I gotta say, I'm very entertained just by looking at the player cams of AMF. They are the expression, right? The seriousness that they put into this. This feels like to them probably a grand finals level of match.
Yeah.
How they are really, taking it as if it's the most important match of their life.
And that's what we call for every game, even in the pro scene. Hopefully everyone will leave, will really put in everything and treat it as if it is the grand finals overall. And that is what MF is bringing right now. And let's see, though, if they can do it once again. Zeus did feel a little bit of wrath right there, but Kamiel will be shot with only a few HP remaining. Recovery will be tight, though, with the glue wall, the barricade right here being done by both teams as the blue closes in. AMF, though, for the flank.
There's going to be a big flank and gives enough time for DMT to recognize this. Surely, right? Surely they know, right? No way AMF just snuck in from the back door like that. Haaland catching Roxy completely off guard. This is the best opportunity for Vietnam to score a third. Forward from Zeus, finding a second knockdown and elimination. Flado and Geisen on the run, but they are split apart from one another. Flado getting surrounded by Haaland and Zeus, chasing him down. Pain must be felt, and Cena will chase them down. Zeus with Flado knocked down. Geisen is gone, and Vietnam with a massive backstab to get the third.
Oh, definitely a backstab overall, and they put up their barricade thinking that they will just break through it, but no, they didn't expect it. Geisen was a casualty at that point, or was it Araxi, and who was just standing in one corner of that barricade. But again, 3-2, and I think DMT Dominators will do their best to get back another point. They would be mad if they don't, especially what would happen in that game, the failure that happened that game.
Yeah, that's gonna be a punch to the gut. But luckily, it's not a, not a match-winning round, right? It is.
Yeah.
The trick can only work once. Let's see if Indonesia has adapted to it. Definitely not gonna take that lying down. Dirty tricks from their opponents, but still. Zeus plays fair and honest and gets first blood anyways onto Gaizen. Indonesia down one man once more. Zeus now surrounded by Roxy. Still somehow managed to outmaneuver two members of DMT. Tried to heal back up. Doesn't find the time to do so. The glue walls put him just in time to protect himself.
Yeah, I mean, Zaze right now, he's like an eel. He's like a falcon just moving up and down. Raxi will be taken out. It's now left to Flado at this point. And Flado, no chance. A final hit from Cena. And 10. He gets that point.
Insane. Zeus has 10 eliminations. What was the top eliminations we had from the
10.
previous series? 10? Well, Zeus is about
10.
to break that record. He is 10-2. 6 rounds in.
I mean, Zay is just doing his part. Rotation overall, he's just rushing in. But the survivability from this guy, even in a 1v2 situation, and it's not so much a pressure being brought in by DMT as well. So let's see if there's something that they can work on and as we continue this game. So apologies of just giving a brief pause. We want to give the players a little bit of breathing space as they go in for that battle. And here we are back. Vietnam still lead on 4-2, but no one's being taken out just yet. So let's see if Indonesia can take back a point.
Haaland with an insane boost. He sees so many things happening. Info is going to be relayed for sure. We'll see if Vietnam can capitalize on that. AMF have plenty of intel to work with. Indonesia is feeling lost. Roxy somehow sneaks close to Haaland. Not getting any conversion yet. Kamiel now makes contact. Haaland now in the low and somehow survives. But they do get Zeus. So that's what DMT needs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Zeus out of the picture. DMT can take over this, but a tower of glue walls being put up, and no one's breaking through. It's DMT making that work, but Haaland managed to squeeze through one shot onto Flado, but the reversal has been done onto Haaland. Now it's still a 3v2 situation, and AMF is in trouble. Haaland was picked up, but is there time for him to recover? Even Xena has trouble recovering and getting away as well, but still managed to do so despite of all the pressure.
And Kamiel, he's trying to chase from Yang and finally gets the takedown. But I mean, AMF, they bought so much time for themselves. This round should have been won by DMT long ago. Yeah. And somehow we end up in the spot 2v2. Both teams having time to heal back up, but DMT is backed against the wall for them. Unfortunately, Vietnam's are the one that have control of the circle. They are not afraid to just take up the space. Try to block off Indonesia as much as they can. Kamiel and Vlado splitting up. They're going to run into a double stack. Cena takes the fight onto Kamiel, blocks it over the glue wall. No boost for you on top of the container, sir. And Vlado finds an entry in, but again the glue wall from Haaland is just perfect. And now they make contact. Cena around the corner. Haaland now sees Kamiel somehow. No one from DMT damage.
Oh, there goes Haaland going down, but Kamiel in trouble because of blue. But Xena right now is in way to take down Flado at this point. Glue wall after glue wall, but the blue's closing in, and all DMT is waiting is for that extra damage to come in that gives them another point. It's now 1 point in difference as Vietnam is 2 points away from winning the game.
Extremely scrappy round where sure, Indonesia, you know, DMT still ended up winning the round, but it could have been so much cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the spirit that we like from these two rivals. A rivalry that extends beyond just the pro teams. Vietnam, see if they can recover. I mean, I think statistically, at least from what we've seen so far, AMF still has an overall more solid performance in these late rounds, this mid to late rounds.
Yeah.
Even in terms of just surviving itself, like individually, they have been able to hold their ground pretty well. Four-man rush from DMT straight into the face of Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, survivability overall, AMF has it. When Cena as well as Haaland surviving at only a few HP, they manage to get away. But DMT right now, it's still scrappy at this point. The position is questionable. Not quite sure why they're still stacking up all those blue walls a little bit far from the border of this team because they don't have a long-range weapon. So probably it's just getting information. But Haaland will try to push through onto the other side. But the same goes with a DMT at this point. So they're just barricading Indonesia onto the outer side of the blue until it closes in. And I guess it's a plan of Vietnam right now.
Look at Geisen. It's probably the highest APM in the lobby right now. Just multiple actions at once. Even Flado actually was very far, was quite close to Zeus and Gamin. Still not able to find much contact, but they get to slowly corral AMF into a very tight spot. But I think if AMF, they want to make a move, it's going to be right now. You got to get rid of the glue walls, maybe start running at some of the DMT members.
Let's see though, I mean, the blue shift or the circle shift would be favoring them, and DMT would just be running in their crosshairs. If Cena can get into that rooftop, he can put a drop into any players. Camiel is one example with only a few HP, but with that Alok being pulled out, it is working for the recovery, and he is still back in play. Zeus, though, it's a different story. He needs to recover that quickly, but Camiel as well as Raxi is very close. A good thing that Haaland and Cena as well as Jiaming is pulling them to that area to give space for ZUs to recover. So that is still a good play for Vietnam, but no one's going down and the Blues closing in.
Most of them able to hold back the onslaught for now. Now the circle closing in. Gamin making first contact. Instant 1-for-1 trade as Pandemonium ensues. Gamin gets knocked down. It's Zeus in the 1v2. Not able to hold on. Cameo with the clutch at the very end with a sliver of health. Indonesia ties it up.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a scrappy beginning, but a solid ending for Indonesia. The way they positioned themselves was take that high ground to stay in the middle of the blue. And they didn't need it at that point, but that is a good backup plan if in case all those engagement fails. But tied up right now and one chance for either team to get a match point. We'll have to see if Peak gives them that problem, because we are seeing a lot of questionable calls that is probably not working for them in each phases of this rounds.
The closest we get to an urban warfare. Until the circle forces us out into the open, we are going to have to be working with this for now. But right off the bat, again, AMF, they're going to wall off key entry points. We see an attempted flank from DMT, Cameo. Oh, that one gets walled off. Timing could not have been more perfect, but there is a gap that Cameo can slip through. And he does see a couple of members. He sees Zeus. Is this one of them? I think Haaland also was spotted as well. When does Indonesia pull the trigger?
Let's see though, backstab is potential at this point, but the moment he pulls the trigger, Camiel will be going down, but Flado is the one who goes down first. Haaland tries to go for the follow-up onto Ryzen and managed to get a confirmation onto Flado. Now, it's a 3v4 situation, and still scrappy play. We don't know how they are going to turn things around because DMP is failing miserably at this point. AMF looks like so prime, but Geisen managed to take down Haaland, and Raxi will be traded. A 3v2 situation. Jiaming, though, being failed to be taken down.
Another 1-for-1 trade. So it's just Geisen left up against Gamin and Stina. With Zeus still having a chance of being picked back up, this could turn into 3v1 pretty quickly, and that will be the case for now. Geisen either deal with the gun barrels of AMF or the blue, and they choose death by shotgun. So Vietnam up to match point.
Match point indeed, and up to Clock Tower. So similar tactics might be happening, but they don't have that much open space in that building. So they might pull like a good flank and the lower ground close to that compound, or just go straight ahead for both teams and then battle around where the face of the circle will be shifting, because that's what we've seen in the past 3 rounds of this first game.
Yeah, it's I think for DMT, Clock Tower, I think the goal is still going to be the same as what they have done in the winning rounds. Zeus is less of a threat right now, right? In this late round, I think Indonesia, they have adapted to it for sure, but the main struggle is still in these tight moments when Vietnam was able to clutch it out with just pure survivability. It's not that they're outgunning Indonesia by a mile, but they were definitely surviving long enough to have their numbers make a difference.
Yeah, they know what to when to rotate in that perfect timing, just to make sure that they have plenty of time recovering. But Zeus will be taken down, and I don't think there's any waiting for them. DMT just bring it on as quickly as that, tying it up to 5, and it's anyone's game at this point as we head into Nurek Dam. Even tidier space for them to work with, and again, this is anyone's gameplay. This was almost the end of the previous series, but let's see if this is the end of this one.
And that's the perfect time to get a wipeout like that, right? To give yourself that morale boost heading into the last round. And if Indonesia wins this, that is going to be a big boon going into the second match. But if they drop this, it is going to swing that pendulum over to the AMF in a blink of an eye. So the emotional stakes could not be any higher, and we started off with Haaland taking some chip damage, and that's already not what you want. Indonesia, the ground that they covered, they got that small bridge that Camille is holding, and that is going to give them enough room to work with, just enough to edge out and start chipping away at Vietnam's health bar. And Roxy attempts a breakthrough, not able to find it, but they are doing enough just to push AMF back.
Yeah, IMF is being pushed back. Zeus, like no opening for him. He can't even go in onto the other side to go for the backstab. And I don't think that is, I think that is a questionable play if you try to go around. But Geisen will try to do that and probably get an opening at this point. But he's backing away together with the rest of the teams. They don't want to pull away from the group. They just want to go heads bashing against these teams. So we'll have to find out where they will be going once this next circle shows up.
You know, see this getting a bit too tight for comfort for AMF. Look at, they barely have space to work with.
Oh yeah.
4 members sleeping in a small dorm room with two double Jekyll base, and Camille is going to take advantage of that lack of space. Zeus gets knocked down instantly, but Haaland responds in time. Roxy is the victim, but Gamin gets traded back. Indonesia losing health bars, but not members. Vietnam, they are the ones on the back foot. Roxy finally leads out, but Gamin and Zeus, they both get eliminated at the same time. It's down to Cena. Can they see him in this mess? And they will. Recovery for Indonesia, and DMT scores the first point.
Yeah, DMT, the Dominators, dominating this game, and it was a great comeback, a great turnaround being done by Indonesia. Though Vietnam looks a little, I would say, a little stronger from the beginning, but that slowdown coming from Zeus, that really slowed down the rest of the team. So let's see though if they can turn things around. It's just the first round of the series. Still have another to show up. Husky.
Yeah, you know what they say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Zeus got off what? He was 10 and 2 6 rounds in, but when the series ended, he was what, 11 and 5, 11-6. So again, fortunately not the ending that Vietnam needed. We talk about the morale boost that DMT got in round number 10, that full instant wipeout, just enough to push them over the edge and get the first match of the series.
Yeah, I mean, like Zeus, if he still managed to break that record, but the rest of the teams really needs a lot of adjusting. Zeus right now just slowed down, probably a lot too much of gas in that beginning of that first round. So let's see on how they're going to work it. There's not so much of difference in terms of terrain though. We're still going back to Bermuda. It's just dependent if they can outsmart the MT once again, or probably survivability would be their main factor, because we've seen that from Cena as well as Haaland for several instances, but not just for the final round, wherein they could have survived and probably turned things around to their favor.
Yeah, and even you look at this scoreboard, right? In the end, it is a Camille that have like a 10-5 scoreline. Yeah, Zeus 11-6. Underperformers definitely Gamin in this case, not really able to do too much, you know, for the overall scheme of things. I think a lot of it, like you said, was Zeus having a lot of gas coming into the series, but you know, not able to really pull them over the finishing line. So 6-5 scoreline is going to be the case with ID taking match number 1.
Yeah. I guess this is just the beginning of what you called before this match. They're stretching it to 11 rounds. How close it is? Very close. And I think Vietnam would or might take it on the next round. But let's bring it over to our match MVP, DMT Kamiel from Indonesia. 10 elimination from and 3951 in damage, and I believe this is quite similar to what we've seen earlier from the MVP. But again, let's not take it away from Zeus, because he did break the record of the highest elimination from this day. So can anyone take that out or can bring that back? Let's see if Zeus can take it again, as well as the rest of the team.
It's going to be a tall mountain to climb. Now that Indonesia, they have the leverage, they got the morale boost already after that match 1. Going to match 2, it's time for Team Vietnam to start adjusting, right? We go back to the same map Bermuda, we play the same rounds, same loadout, same rule set, but mentality is going to be a bit different for both teams.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one managed to win, the other one would be hungrier. So let's see who will take this next round. Round number 2 of the series between Vietnam and Indonesia. But again, still locked in overall compared to what we've seen on Dominators. And this brings a question, which one is a more pressured or less pressured, I would say? Is it Dominators? Is it Indonesia, who is just looking at their teammates, communicating with their teammates, not really locked into their screen, or the ones who really are in the zone, which is Vietnam?
I don't know, I mean, they look pretty in the zone. They definitely look in the zone. A lot more than they were when game 1 started. And I think that was just off of the intro, right? Like when we had to do the handshake, you can feel the friendly animosity. I don't know if that's even the right word to describe it, but it definitely felt different, right? Lesser smiles and laughter between the rivals, and even amongst them. AMF starting to feel the pressure a little bit. Round 1 of match number 2 now kicks off.
See now, I mean, Flado and Roxy already hitting in straight in the middle of the map. Flado will be left out as Gaizen groups in with Roxy, but they are just trying to isolate one of the players, which is Cena. So 1v2 is bound to happen at this point, but they might just be reeled into the rest of the team. Roxy right now, and there goes Cena! Not seen, but managed to go for the takedown. But a trade is potential, but no, it doesn't work for DMT. It's a 3v4 situation now.
Unseen, unfortunately. Vietnam, see if they can alive, and KML tries to track him down, but backup comes through pretty quickly. And Haaland catches Flado off screen. Dyson now also in the rear. Zeus with the takedown, and Vietnam, just like match number 1, starts off pretty hot. KML not able to provide any backup. Will be stuck in the 1v4, and it should be a round 1 win again for Vietnam. Off to a good start. And emotions are flaring on the Indonesian side. KML clearly not happy with how that round turned out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it seems like from that specific round, from that specific engagement, the moment they got that knockdown, DMT just slowed down. And that's where AMF managed to take 2 of their players. They were expecting that that would slow AMF down as well, but it didn't happen. Thus, take advantage of that situation was AMF. So let's see if that's something that they can learn from. But DMT, again, heading straight on, as Cena will not be seen at this point and go for the backstab.
And once again, Cena tries to make the long wraparound. Doesn't find anything in this case. Flado will do the same. In fact, this late rotation, if Flado somehow able to avoid detection by Cena, he could make something happen, but I think they would make contact eventually. KML now coming under fire very, very quickly, force the heal back up as AMF, they fortified their position. Roxy takes a shot in the back. Some shrapnel from Haaland. Nothing significant just yet. Vietnam decides to fall back and regroup.
Cena and Vietnam is a 3-1 split. Cena still behind, but Kamiel can be taken down, especially with the glue walls and the time spent for DM2 to regroup. But Vlado already taking the second floor of his container as Haaland has been spotted, but Haaland right now tries to shoot at Roxy. No one's going down just yet. The Blues closing in, and Cena might be our first casualty being stuck. The same goes with Zeus.
Starting to really feel claustrophobic for Vietnam. When we saw this in the final round of match number 1, where space was a major problem, and Kamiel trying to keep them caged in as long as possible for the Blue to close in. It's going to start moving, I believe, in the favor of Vietnam instead. A saving grace for AMF.
Talk about luck at this point. AMF was almost being taken out, but I guess they timed that quickly that they can still have space to move in. And they're still in a group, but DMT is still trying to go for a quick flank, make sure that AMF doesn't have that opening. So Cena and Kamiel might go in a 1v1 as quickly as this, and the glue wall's just stopping them from doing so. But a 1v2 is potential to happen as one of the players, though, from Indonesia backs away. It's Gaizen because they spot Haaland, but they haven't taken him out just yet. Again, survivability from Vietnam is just prime.
Same for Kamiel. He doesn't have time to really regenerate his health at all, but he's able to hold back Vietnam. We might come down to the circle to end it all. Roxy with the first knockdown onto Zeus, and that's the numbers advantage that Indonesia has been looking for. A quick wipeout onto the entirety of AMF. Indonesia runs on the clock and gets the second round.
I love the boost and the jump shot that is being done by DMT. That's something that we don't see often at this point. But this is one way to really make it work. No one's going down, so what you need to do is to go in from above, and it's just less time to really respond. If the Blues closing in, so much pressure is happening, not only from the zone, but also for the rest of DMT that really threw AMF off guard. But AMF right now, no more flank. They are just heading straight on. And compared to the previous map, there's not so much of there's not so much of a closed area to work with. There's so much open area, open field that they can isolate Kamiel that easily. But Cena goes in a little bit too late, and that pulls in the rest of the team to regroup, and DMT is back in play.
If anything that's commendable about Vietnam is how fast they make the call to back off and regroup. Although Gaizen, he is so far out, somehow separated from the rest of his team. So it's a price that they have to pay. Roxy and Vlado not looking too good either. Kamiel comes under fire. Vietnam attacking from multiple different angles. They should be around secured unless Indonesia punches it out again. Haaland having time to heal back up, but Kamiel gets knocked down by Zeus for the second time. Vlado by his side needs to bring it back up, but not able to do so. Roxy, though, does find Cena down to a 2v2. Haaland chasing after the Roxy. Zeus comes in the backing mount. Roxy somehow boxes herself in. The glue wall placement is just perfect. Roxy comes up, pops up from the shadow, takes out Haaland, and it's just Zeus left once more in the 1v3.
Yeah, 1v3 situation, but makes that a 2v2 as Haaland has been picked up but needs to recover. The Blues closing in, and Vlado might lose a few more of the HP as aggressive Zeus is now moving in onto the flank. Vlado spots Haaland, and Zeus has been taken down. Haaland, despite of the time that he can recover, he didn't do so because he doesn't have all those meds on him. And it's now a 1v2 with only a few HP remaining, and the Blue closing in. It might be another point for DMT unless miracle happens.
This time Haaland doesn't have the blue on his side too, just to run straight into DMT. Kamiel chases him down and almost does a full version pop-off. He almost stood up from his chair, but the morale again, an all-time high for DMT. Emotional driven to a certain extent. But that's just kind of the motivation you need in situations like this when you are already in control and now you get more control. And for AMF, it's back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about AMF is they have that aggression to really finish the game a little bit early, but they, at some point, they slow down the moment that they lose that opportunity for a takedown. They just back away. Thus, they lost that game as well. If they manage to take them out a little bit early, there's no worry about mids losing out. All you have to do is just recover afterwards. And this 1-3 split with Xena from above might be their advantage, but Roxy will not be taken down. Vlado almost, though, but managed to get away.
Needs time to recuperate. Oh, as much as his name is Pain, he can still feel pain. But those chakra rods, they do share the sensation. For Vietnam, again, another situation where it is slowed down, but what's the next move? I think contrary to the first series between Thailand and Laos, it feels like just sometimes they are just spamming the blue walls, but first blood has come through for Indonesia, and that's already a bad sign for Vietnam. Miao drawing attention away from Haaland, and could end up drawing Haaland into Flado too. Exactly, that's what happens. The blue wall drops and Flado catches Haaland off guard. Roxy does get knocked down, but Vietnam have lost control of this round completely. Zeus, third one on the list, and Gamin, we needed him to step up, but in the situation, it seems like that's an impossible feat. Indonesia up 3-1.
Yeah, up 3-1 and close to closing the game. Let's see though if Vietnam will be able to get back in play again. Zeus has been nerfed at this point. Xena is most of the time being the first casualty in this game, so those two things need some work for them to recover. But for DMT, I guess this is how it is for Indonesia. As the mastermind, which is RRQ, they know how to make those plans of adjustment, and they're doing it right now.
Yeah, and for Vietnam, again, the main struggle that they've been running into so far is just space, right? The control of the space that they've not been able to get for themselves. And we saw that even from the opening round of match 1, where Indonesia, the way that they place the blue walls is not right in front of them, it's miles ahead of them. Knowing that Vietnam is not contesting for it, they were testing the waters, and that litmus test came up with a positive result. And Flado trying to make contact, plenty of windfall. Here comes the drop down. Gamin able to find Roxy, and a punish comes through, but Flado instantly responds. So still a 1-for-1 trade, boxes himself away. Geisen gets picked up by Haaland off screen, and Vietnam strikes back with Xena from behind, and K-Mail left to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, I mean, K-Mail will be taken down. Xena will go for 2. And that is another point being taken by Vietnam after 2 points being grabbed by Indonesia. Now, this is, I guess, what they have been waiting for. A good chance to really bring back up or tie it up against Indonesia. And they're just doing it a little quicker. Not waiting for the next phase to show up or to shift, because I guess they read the situation, as I did mention. Indonesia is just putting out blue walls to box AMF out, and they don't want to play that game. They just want to go and rotate and probably take one down out, and then that's where they steamroll once again.
It was a necessary risk. I think that Indonesia didn't really do anything wrong. It's just unlucky, right? Vietnam got the perfect response to what they wanted to pull off with that drop. That's Flado again, that not really boxing off the entrance as much, but thankfully there was no members of AMF around the corner.
Yeah, there was still a risk though for Flado at that point, because the moment he get that elimination or knockdown, there's like 2 other players that has been knocked down as well. If he was not in a safe space to go for the pickup, then that could have done, or that could have been taken by that could have been taken otherwise. But DMT right now boxing themselves in this time around, and not just AMF being pushed away from the safety of the circle. But Vlado for the flank into the midst of it, and managed to take down Zeus, but the trade-off is just pristine. But DMT still in the lead, but Roxy needs to recover.
Wait, they forced Haaland out of the building. And Haaland couldn't provide any support until it was too late. Indonesia making it work out again. Haaland 1v4, impossible situation to be in. Indonesia, brilliance in that round. I thought that they wanted to take control of the stairwell, because that would give them a bit of a leverage to work with, which they weren't able to do so, but it paid off in the end with how they were able to box off Haaland from the rest of AMF.
And that's one thing, though. I mean, usually isolation is isolate one from the rest in the beginning. But what they did is they isolate the three, leaving Haaland behind while they take them out, and then Haaland's the only survivor just to secure, to make sure that they secure that win. So let's see, though. It's a 4-2 on the points right now, and Indonesia is still on the roll. And AMF will need some sort of a plan to catch up with the point, but KML a little bit too aggressive, but Roxy might be able to go for the backstab. Jamin is first one who goes down from the hands of Dyson, and this pulls everyone in.
This round already looking worse for wear unless Cena can pull a rabbit out of the hat. It's Roxy down, but they need confirmation. The guy just instantly calls for help, brings Roxy back up, and Vietnam once more on the back foot. Health bar not looking too good for two of the Indonesian members, but you can say the same for Vietnam, who all needs time to get themselves back up. Zeus, with a good knockdown to Geisen, but still, no confirmation means that Zeus gets traded back by Ken Miao, who has been incredibly vocal on the team of DMT, and it is really starting to spill over to the rest of the round. When Roxy finds another knockdown, Vietnam left with Jacina, and this time they sure as hell can see him. Indonesia for 5 on the board, and it is pretty much confirmed.
Yeah, it's pretty much confirmed, and there you have it. Match point for Indonesia. Managed to see Cena. That is something else. But again, AMF strong at the start, slow towards the end, and it's not looking good. Now, AMF, not so much a space to work with, and hopefully isolation, those isolation play is something that AMF can play out of, break through away, because the DMT is just doing it quite perfectly. They know how to time their glue walls to make sure that 1 or 2 players will be left outside from where the rest is targeting.
Back to this rig again. Seems very poetic, and almost every series ending round we ended up here. That was the case. So previous Vlado almost went for a swim there. That could have been disastrous for their chances. But they have 3 rounds to work with, and Vlado, wait, was he not aware?
I mean, the man that can't be moved.
Grin on the side of his face, he's like, okay, he got me, right? That one, props to AMF. But there's plenty of round to work with, even if this round doesn't go well.
Yeah, let's see though, AMF. The catch up will be quite long for them, but KML, I guess they are slowly giving them that breathing space just to make sure that they have a longer game, or probably there's a tactic, there's a plan out here for DMT. So no takedown just yet after Vlado, and Roxy would be the first one to go after a while, and DMT is losing out this game.
This round pretty much done and dusted KML, and Geisen backs against the wall. Geisen splits away from KML. Cena somehow not able to get the knockdown. KML able to wrap around, but yeah, Cena eventually finds it. The blue is going to be his undoing anyways. It should be a closeout very quickly from Vietnam. Started off with a very awkward take on Vlado, who were just unfazed after getting shot multiple times. So round 9 it is at Rimnam Village. Still match point for Indonesia.
Yeah, only 1 more point, and Indonesia grabs this win. Now, Rimnam Village, not so much of moving can be done, similar to what we've seen in Nurikdown. And this looks like a good playground for AMF, similar if that is the same story. But I guess Vlado would be moving with the rest of the teams right now, and they have a plan of leaving Vlado going for that flank.
With the Rimnam Village, it gets a lot more interesting. The seafood restaurant is actually a very important point to hold. At least in this case, right? Usually you would hold the other huts if you have long-range weapons. But with how aggressive these two teams have been, literally in each other's face. Cena against Geisen making contact in the low ground, but again, Geisen comes out worse for wear in terms of health bar. Another full retreat called by both teams.
Yeah, I mean, they take both sides of this compound, this area, this dock, I would say. And Zeus is just going in, trying to go in for the other flank as Jamin is working his way onto the left. But Roxy is already waiting for that movement. And not so much of damage being done. Even trying to get that elevation is not working for him. But I guess this might be it. This might be a chance. This might be the time that they're waiting for. Jamin will be jamming at this point. But Flado goes down and he takes that jam.
Yeah, and Vietnam now is going to try and push on forward a bit more. Again, confirmation is imperative. Vietnam will finally get it. Flado eliminated from the equation. The guy holding the most eliminations on DMT this series so far, 8-4. Tina taking fire, able to duck away, draws attention to his wounded teammates, but at least Indonesia not able to push the envelope. Geisen ends up showing himself, but the corners are covered, so Vietnam in a very powerful position.
Yeah, powerful indeed, because the shift would be, despite of not favoring them, they have elevation to see where DMT will be moving. And the isolation is already being done. Geisen on one side, as well as two on the other. Camiel tried to fight back, but Jamin has been missed, and he goes in for a shot. Geisen with only a few HP, and there goes 1 point difference being reduced by Vietnam.
And we are getting closer and closer to the equalizer. Vietnam pulling it back from the brink. Indonesia is trying to feel feeling the heat. They have blue 2 chances. 1 more and we go down to deathmatch. And if you're Indonesia, you would be sweating a little bit.
Sweating or shouting a little bit more, because that didn't work in the previous round. All those shouting, all those like relieving the pressure did make that win. But let's see if this is something that they can turn around as quickly. No, they don't have the momentum, but it doesn't like give them any advantage because they have economy for both sides, and it's just left mechanical skills as well as strategy. So Flado getting information, seeing 3 already, but there's no movement, there's no way for them to squeeze themselves outside of those blue walls.
Yeah, a slow burn this time. It's been quite a barn burner of a series. We've maxed out match 1. We're 1 round away from maxing out match 2 too. Again, it's just the appetizer. I think a lot of our survivors who tuned in, they thought that we are deep, you know, into the tournament, but no, this is it's not even the entrees yet. We haven't even brought out the actual pro teams that we saw on the silver screens. But this is the slowest this entire series has been between these 2 squads.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are slowing down. I guess this is one thing the AMF has been waiting for DMT to try and move onto them, and that's where they take advantage because they have isolated Camiel already, but Cena, as well as the rest of the team, is going in for the flank. It's a little risky because they're still outside of the zone, and once it closes in, that would spell trouble for them. But no, they have advantage of the shift of the circle, and both sides has been covered. AMF right now doing the impossible in surviving against DMT just because of the blue, and let's see if this final clash will ensue in a few seconds.
Inevitable, for sure. Looking at the Indonesian squad, feels like it is by their own volition to slow things down. Valo tries to attempt a crossover with the amount of boost. He's hoping for AMF to lose track of him, but they've been keeping track very well. In fact, the circle, if this is going to be how the game ends, Vietnam better pray that they play this perfectly. Cena jumps through and forward. Okay, mid-contact with Flado first. Here comes the glue wall now. It is just a hot mess. Flado and Camiel getting the first blood, and this is not looking good for Vietnam. They will try to stand. And a tie-out, a blowout. Somehow, Geisen with just a sliver of health survives the end game, and Indonesia wins 6-4 and a 2-0 over Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, they just ended that with, I would say, precision. That precision of taking that middle of the final circle, making sure that they have more time to spare before the rest of the teams of Vietnam pushes through against them. And, well, there we have it.